You're listening to a 58 Ember production.
Welcome to Skytalkers. Here are your hosts, Charlotte and Caitlin.
Hello, and welcome to Skytalkers. I'm your host, Charlotte.
Hey, everyone. I'm your other host, Caitlin, and welcome to this week's episode where we're talking all about New York Comic Con, which is exciting because I've never been to New York Comic Con. It's the first time I've been up here for this. Charlotte has been twice?
Once. I live quite close, so previously it was like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I might as well go, cover the publishing news, and then go home. And that's kind of what I did because I was a little overwhelmed. I went alone. It's a lot, but I did buy last time. Some of you might remember the big purchase that I made at New York Comic Con was my Empire Strikes Back poster that's in my living room. I posted about it before. It was like my chase. I found it there, and that was like something I did alone at that New York Comic Con.
Got it back home.
Yeah, got it back home. Got it framed. I'm looking at it right now because we're filming. Caitlin and I are together right now recording.
Yep.
It's probably why we sound a little different. I always say that, but because we're in my living room in New York.
Looking at the poster in question.
Yes.
The Empire Strikes Back poster. Looks great. Yeah, but it was kind of a last minute decision for me to come up here. I was able to get a badge and booked the flight like a week out, and
here we are.
We're here, baby. And It was really fun. We didn't get to do the full New York Comic Con experience because we were both still working, which
Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, Thursday and Friday, which is always sad. But we did do Saturday and Sunday, and we stopped by on Friday too, which was fun. So we thought it could be fun to kind of talk about our experience. And I think we got to do some really exciting things at New York Comic Con.
And talk through some news too.
Yeah.
Because which we usually like don't do, but it feels
relevant,
feels right.
Feels apt.
Yeah.
Feels up our alley.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so like I said, I came in earlier this week, like late Wednesday night, and then we worked Thursday and Friday. But we did go over Friday morning to get our badges before we started work, which I was really glad we did that to kind of get a lay of the land. And we were also able to buy I hadn't gotten the Revenge of the Sith annotated edition yet, which they had for sale early here at New York Comic Con. So had to go get my copy. So we popped in, got our badges, got the book, walked around for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, the exciting thing while we were walking around like super quick before we had to go back to work on Friday morning is that they're selling like all of this comic art, right? It's New York Comic Con. And they're selling like all these originals and stuff of comic artists. It's all incredible.
And it's all super expensive.
It's like they're at a booth and it's
original comic art
for like $15,000 that you could just flip through. But we're just walking by this one booth and I see out of the corner of my eye there's a Norman Rockwell drawing that is there.
I'm pretty sure Saturday Evening
Post. It seems like something that would have been for that publication. And of course, Charlotte and I freaked out because if you don't know, George Lucas is a huge collector of Norman Rockwell. We've talked about it a lot on the show. We've talked about seeing the original Norman Rockwells at Skywalker Ranch, which was a huge thing for us. And so
in sort of ding, 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 most of George's own collection of Norman Rockwells will be on display in the upcoming Lucas Museum of Narrative Art that's opening next year in Los Angeles, which was a huge reason why Caitlin was like, I got to come up for this
New York Comic Con
because they did a panel. We'll talk about that. It was awesome. That was this morning.
Yeah. So seeing the Norman Rockwell,
we were like, oh my God, to kick us off.
It was so funny because it didn't have a price listed on it. And I asked the guy, I was like, oh, just curious. How much is this going for? He goes so casual. Oh, $22,000.
Yeah, 20. No, he just said 22.
Yeah, 22. And I go, oh, yeah, 22.
Okay. Noted.
Right. Noted.
Got it.
Let me review my portfolio. But it felt like such a good sign, a good way to kick off the weekend.
Totally.
Honestly. But then we headed back home to work, and then the next day we got up and headed straight to the Lucasfilm publishing panel, which I was really excited to go to this because I feel like this is always such a big thing.
This is the big Star Wars
thing at New York Comic Con, and people I feel like are always talking about the publishing panel. So it was really fun for me to actually get to go to it.
I think it's really cool that the publishing gets its own moment at New York Comic Con. I feel like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like at other conventions when they talk about publishing news, it gets a little overshadowed by everything. But there isn't a lot of Star Wars programming at New York Comic Con. So this is sort of the one. And it's pretty big. I think that people make a big deal about it. A lot of people travel for it. The panelists on the panel are it's a big lineup.
Yeah.
And a lot gets announced. It's a lot of new stuff. And I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I had no idea what was coming down the pike. And I was really happy with what was announced. So let's talk through some of it.
Yeah, there was a lot announced. We have a big thread on our Twitter. Charlotte was live tweeting in the panel that has kind of all the major announcements that were made. And yeah, it was a lot. I've followed this publishing panel before, but it was really fun to witness it in person and see kind of the initial reactions from everyone about
certain things,
everything new coming down the line.
Yeah. First off, there was some discussion about okay, the High Republic is over. What's now? How do we reflect on that era and what comes next? And there was a lot, it felt like 10 minutes of reflection about how the era was gone.
Yeah.
And then they flipped to the next slide and they were like, actually,
well,
we're coming out with a comic that's set, 20 years after Phase 2. It's a comic series by George Mann, which I think, I don't know. I just thought it was okay, so the High Republic is continuing.
It's not entirely finished. Yeah, it's not entirely finished. Yeah, that was really fun. And Charles Soule was there, and he was talking about kind of how he's gone through the 5 stages of grief kind of thing with the High Republic ending, because it's crazy when you think about how long they've really been working on it. And I know we have not covered the High Republic in a while, but we do love it, and we love the initiative and the whole concept behind it. And he was talking about how, he's been there since day one, which day one was back in, what did he say, 2018?
Yeah.
And it's just
Project Luminous.
Yeah, Project Luminous. And it's crazy. That's such a huge chunk of these people's lives. Someone like Charles Soule from 2018 to now, that's almost a decade of life working on a project as big as the High Republic.
Yeah. But some of the things that Caitlin and I were really excited about, because I feel like there was a lot that was announced or a lot that was talked about, but things that really stood out to us are a lot of art books were announced, an Art of book. We know that the Art of the Acolyte book is coming, but we got to see some pieces inside of it. Kristen Baber is writing that one. And Kristen specifically talked about how there's a whole section in the Acolyte Art of book all about the pitch of the Acolyte.
The Acolyte, the first pitch that Leslie Headland made to Lucasfilm.
And I thought that was interesting. I don't think that's the first time that kind of sectioning will be included in a Art of book, if I'm right about that. But I'm intrigued by that framing, and I can't wait to get that book. They showed a lot of art, and then they said there was a lot of talk about The Stranger and a lot of oohs and ahs in the audience. I mean, everyone loves The Stranger.
Season 2.
And so
I have to say it.
The question of how do you make The Stranger just pitch perfect? And so I think there's going to be a lot of concept art around The Stranger and the mask and everything. And I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Another big announcement was there's going to be a Doug Chiang 2-volume
I'm still
collection.
unsure if that was an announcement. I think that was announced before, but
I know
it's still great, and I'm still here for it.
We got to see it, and it's available for pre-order now. It comes out in December, I think, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be slightly smaller than the Archives book if you have the Star Wars Archives, but it's gonna be large in the sense that those books are massive, but on a slightly smaller scale.
A very clear collector's piece that we need.
Yeah, I'm thinking Christmas list.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, very much.
And then also it was announced that there's an Art of Andor book coming.
Finally.
And it's
by
going
Phil
to
Shostak.
both seasons, and I'm really actually happy to have both seasons in one book. I think that's great.
Yeah. I think we expected that. I mean, we've been talking about how there hasn't been an Art of Andor book out, and why not? And I think it made sense for them to wait until they could, put it together.
Yeah.
Basically both seasons.
I think that the way that show, the Gilroys, conceptualize that is really as a 2-season situation. Like they talked about that it was, this is where we start, this is where we end, and we know the pieces in which we want and how to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know. I'm just really excited about that. I can't wait to see the concept art. I can't wait to hear more behind the scenes about it, because they've been so open about how they made Andor that
the interviews in that book should be
really good and revelatory for sure.
I don't think that's coming out until next summer, though.
Next year. Yeah, and it says next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe sooner rather than later.
I don't know. I think the next big thing that was announced there, though, was an adult novel called Legacy by Madeline Rue. That's a story that focuses on Rey's Jedi training with Leia, set between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, which the cover has Leia, Rey, and Kylo on it. And let me pull up the description.
Yeah, it's a really interesting description. I think Charlotte and I were talking a lot about this after the panel, and I think that, I don't know, I think especially if you're a woman like in the Star Wars space, the conversation around Rey training was always
touchy,
contentious, touchy. Yeah. And so I think having a book about it, my first response, one, I'm really excited to have more Rey stories. I think that's where I'm starting. Then I think I'm a little hesitant at first. That's my first reaction to it. But I think there's some really interesting things. Like, they released a summary on StarWars.com after the panel, and there are some really fascinating tidbits in the summary about the book.
I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
Set between episodes 8 and 9, Rey and Leia embark on a quest to repair Rey's lightsaber and rekindle the legacy of the Jedi. After barely escaping the First Order on Crate, Rey and the Resistance are struggling to rebuild. Her friends need the Last Jedi more than ever, but Rey feels alone and overwhelmed. The Jedi tradition is built on masters and apprentices, and Rey's teacher is gone. Leia Organa tries her best to train Rey in the ways of the Force, as Luke did for her so many years ago, but Leia's knowledge is limited. Rey's lightsaber is broken, and the specter of Kylo Ren and regrets from the past haunt them both. How can Leia pass the torch when she herself is unsure of the way? But then the ancient Jedi texts offer a glimmer of hope, a long-forgotten Jedi temple on Tython that might hold the key to repairing Rey's saber. Rey leaps the chance to journey there, and to her surprise, so does Leia. Rey and Leia's nascent mentorship is put to the test when they discover the temple on Tython is filled with obscure clues to decipher and arcane trials to complete. As they work to unravel the temple's mysteries, they encounter a group of refugees living in its shadow. Hiding from a First Order officer hot on the trail of 2 freedom fighters in their midst, with the threat of the First Order looming and secrets of the Jedi Temple to be unlocked, the newly forged master and apprentice must confront their past, reach each other in the present, and decide what it means to carry the legacy of the Jedi into the future.
I think there are some really interesting components to that. I mean, of course, I'm going to comment on the specter of
Kylo Ren and regrets from the past to haunt them both.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. And interesting, the author, Madeline Rue, I've never read any of her work before, but we were looking up her past novels, and they're very horror-based, which I feel like you can definitely see some elements of that in the description, even, like hunting for artifacts on a temple, the specter of Kylo Ren, that all feels kind of could have some elements of the horror genre or the tone. So I think it could be really, really interesting. And, we did a little bit of creeping on the author. She's on Instagram, and she's a really big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
She has
not that that's a requirement.
It's not a requirement at all. And sometimes I think you guys have heard us on the show talk about how it's nice to have people writing and creating in the Star Wars world that are not Star Wars fans, that have never been in the world. And then it's also fun to have people who are
the
big
best
Star
of
Wars
both
fans.
worlds.
Yeah, you need both to tell good stories. But I will say she has a whole sleeve of tattoos of all Star Wars women.
Characters, yeah.
Star Wars women,
yeah.
which is really fun.
And
so
cool.
yeah, I think with Rey's character, out of TROS, there was a lot of big choices that we didn't like for the character. So I think coming back to her in any kind of big way always feels big.
Mm-hmm.
But like a little scary, honestly. But we've always said on the show that this is such an important character, and to get more stories with Rey, we have to have more stories with Rey. And this feels so. I think it is a little scary having her back, but I'm also like, I want her back. I need her back.
I also think it makes sense. It's the unfortunate thing. This has been the unfortunate thing since 2017 that Carrie Fisher is not with us.
Right.
So we wrap up the story of Leia using footage from her past.
Right.
So having to fill in pieces of those conversations, like this is an opportunity actually to flesh this out. Like,
right.
Way more than we got in The Rise of Skywalker. I know that so many people talk about how like we're like the publishing, the different stories from Ahsoka to The Mandalorian are trying to recontextualize The Rise of Skywalker a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm on the record of saying I'm here for that. I think that it has helped people appreciate that sort of concept has helped people appreciate the prequels. So I'm here for the same treatment to the ending of the Skywalker saga. I'm here for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is scary.
Yeah.
But I'm here for the Leia and Rey story of it. I think it sounds like Madeline is a good person to take this on.
Yeah.
She also wrote the Brea from a certain point of view story too. So really cool. Also interesting thing there is that Tython is the planet that Grogu contacts Luke Skywalker through the Force in the Mandalorian, which takes place before this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it does.
I'm looking at Caitlin like, yes, confirm.
Right? Please. It 80% does.
Yes. No, it does.
It definitely does. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm really excited for the book. I'm very excited to have Rey back in the world. And it's coming on July 28th, 2026. Mm-hmm. So feels like a far away, but it's really not. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah. Another thing is sometimes I'm like, when was this book pitched, and was this supposed to be in line, or is it supposed to lead to the next phase of Rey movies and everything? I know you were saying this before, but it coming out of this publishing panel, I was like, wow, Rey was mentioned a lot in terms of storytelling. Mm-hmm. They're doing things with her. Kristen Baver's writing a story with her for Star Wars Insider. It's great. And I am here for it.
Yeah, it feels like they're bringing this character back in a bigger way. Obviously, we know Daisy Ridley has signed on to a movie plus, which is coming at some point. Mm-hmm. So this feels like a natural progression of things to start bringing her back to the forefront of new, like in this case, publishing initiatives that are coming out.
Totally.
And that this is all kind of preparation for her to be back on the big screen too.
Yeah. I just think that time period between 8 and 9 is ripe for
really
possibilities.
Interesting.
Also, like, I really hope the Force connection is still open between Rey and I don't know, Rey and Kylo. We'll see. Or like what's going to happen with that. With the horror element of it all, the specter of Kylo Ren, it feels like maybe there's a ghost element that happens in Tython. I don't know. I'm here for it.
I'm so here for it.
Maybe some flashbacks with Leia thinking about her son.
I mean, I was such a huge proponent for Hallucination Hayden in the Obi-Wan Kenobi
Why not
show.
Hallucination?
Why not hallucinate? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we got Hallucination Han Solo.
Right.
Right. The Rise of Skywalker, so let's get...
Sounds to me like synergy.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much cool and funny things that could happen with the character of Leia and the character of Rey after Rey has gone through so many crazy things with Kylo, and then now she's with his mom.
Well, it could, a huge thing we talked about in our speculation between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker was that the theme of concealment was so huge, and that like what needed to happen was there needed like Rey needed to tell people what happened and about this connection. And that's part of the healing and the growing and like all of that. And obviously we didn't see that in The Rise of Skywalker. And that was part of like what we felt wasn't done as well. So I think there is potential to see what Rey chooses chooses to tell Leia and chooses not to tell Leia will be really fascinating to see in this book.
Totally. Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. Can't wait.
Yeah, I am too. Today's episode of Skytalkers is brought to you in partnership with Nello, which is a dietary drink supplement. Their most well-known product is their calm-inducing Super Calm. I'm really excited we've got this opportunity with Nello because I'll admit I first saw this product on TikTok last year and finally decided to try it for myself earlier this year in January. So I've actually been using this for about 6 months now, and it has become the perfect way to start my nighttime routine and wind down after a busy day. They have over 10 flavors to choose from, my favorite of which is the raspberry lemonade, and I'm looking forward to trying strawberries and cream next.
Nello has also introduced their Super Greens and Super Focus supplements. Super Greens gives you a boost of greens and superfoods like spinach, broccoli, raspberry, blueberry extract, and more to help with bloating, energy, and immunity. Super Focus supports cognitive function and provides a clean energy boost for that mid-afternoon slump.
Nello is clinically backed and third-party tested, so you can trust the ingredients and results. Use code SkyTalkers10 to get 10% off your order and see how Nello can help aid your energy, focus, and sleep today.
The big thing that I think really excited us about the publishing panel, though, was this announcement of a romance novel, a young adult YA romance novel called Eyes Like Stars.
Explicitly labeled
a Star Wars romance novel featuring all new characters, and it's set before The Force Awakens. So there's a lot of things here, okay? It's written by Ashley Poston. Poston?
I've always said Poston,
okay.
But yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. She wrote Reylo fan fiction and then has gone on to write a lot of books that have been traditionally published. I've read a lot of them. I really like Ashley Poston. So.
Yeah, you were like pumped when this was announced. You're like, wait, I was like,
oh my god. The book that's based off of her fanfic, which neither one of us read her fanfic actually. So I didn't even realize she was a Reylo fanfic author when I first read her books. The first one was the Dead Romantics, which that's the one that's based off of the Reylo fanfic. And then she's done a lot of others since then. My favorite has been the 7-Year Slip, if you needed a recommendation.
Was the Dead Romantics the one that had the character named Benji Andor?
Yes. Yeah. I think you can see the influence.
Yeah. But here's the synopsis of the novel. New York Times bestselling author Ashley Poston is writing the first official Star Wars romance novel, Eyes Like Stars. New York Comic Con got the first look at the dreamlike cover for the young adult novel, which will feature a couple in search for their happily ever after in the galaxy far, far away. The charming young adult romance, set about a year and a half before the Star Wars The Force Awakens, features all new characters, a mysterious artifact, and the fearsome First Order. So it's called Eyes Like Stars. It looks like Lost Stars.
It's giving Lost Stars.
Okay, Lost Stars, if you're unfamiliar, was a young adult book. It was not explicitly labeled a Star Wars romance, but it certainly was a romance story that released on the same day as the first of the Aftermath trilogy. So
in the ramp up to The Force Awakens.
So while the first Star Wars novel, the first new canon Star Wars novel was a Rebels novel, technically we really kicked off quote unquote new canon with the Road to Force Awakens, which was Aftermath and then also Lost Stars. Everyone was so pumped about Aftermath to come out because it was going to explain a lot of the politics about where we are before the Force Awakens came. And it was really intriguing. I'm not knocking Aftermath, but what really happened was everyone being like, wait,
Lost Stars is incredible.
This young adult book that was released on the same day that no one's really paying attention to.
Yeah.
It was Claudia Gray. This was her first foray into Star Wars.
So good.
Official Star Wars. We know she was a fan fiction author too of Obi-Wan and Anakin fan fiction. But regardless, Lost Stars was formative to our podcast. It's so good. If you haven't read Lost Stars, it's so good. But what Lost Stars is it takes place during the original trilogy. It's a romance with 2 new characters that takes place in the background of the original trilogy. So things happen that we know, like the explosion of the Death Star, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that Eyes Like Stars, this new one, is set a year and a half before The Force Awakens.
Same timeline.
It's the same timeline as Lost Stars.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It makes you think.
And
we didn't write this down, and it hasn't been in the press releases that we've read so far, so don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure they said in the panel that the girl in the book, she's like a ship captain's daughter, and he's a stowaway, and the romance is there. So it feels like maybe something with pirates. We've got the artifact that they mentioned. I don't know. Sounds real good. I'm really excited.
And it's the first of many type of Star Wars romance. We were cheering really loud.
Yeah.
This has gotten a lot of attention on social media. It's like clearly the thing that people are the most excited about from at least our lives.
Yeah.
Tweet.
They said that there were going to be more genre stories coming down the line.
Yeah, not just romance. So it could be like horror.
Because when you look at the cover on the bottom has the banner.
It's like a moniker.
The bottom, that says a Star Wars romance novel. So it sounds like there could be more romance novels in the future, but then also, other genre, like very explicit genre stories, which we have always said we wanted to see more of in Star Wars, and obviously we love to see romance in Star Wars. So more of that, please. Yeah.
Yeah, super exciting. Another thing, we didn't write this down here, but there was an announcement for a Jar Jar comic.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's so meta. It's a Jar Jar comic that takes place after Revenge of the Sith that includes Kelleran Beck, and Ahmed Best is co-writing it.
Yeah, just layers on layers.
It's great. And then they also said that Jar Jar is going to have a hand in creating the rebellion, which I think is really good.
Yeah, I when you saw seeing the cover that they showed in the panel of Jar Jar on the cover with Kelleran Beck, and then it says co-written by Ahmed Best, and then Mark Guggenheim is the other author on it. It's so crazy, and of course this would be a Jar Jar story. Like Jar Jar would, his story would necessitate having Kelleran Beck and Ahmed Best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
It just fully
it just makes sense.
Yeah, so that was exciting and fun. And there's a lot of great announcements that came out of that. A lot of fun comics. There was a really cool Boba Fett comic that was just using black, white, and red as colors.
The art looked so beautiful.
So cool.
Yeah.
Just so many fun publishing initiatives, including the beginning of the ramp up for the Mandalorian and Grogu publishing initiatives. And they announced, I just think this is funny. They announced the first ever Grogu board book
for babies.
And we were like,
what do you mean?
What do you mean the first ever?
There hasn't been a Grogu board book? Shocked.
Yeah.
The way that Grogu has taken over every single piece of merchandise,
ever.
You guys agree, right? It's weird there hasn't been a Grogu baby board book yet.
Yeah, so that was like, all right. Cool. Finally, go out there checking that box. But the big thing about this day is after the publishing panel was great. Great time.
Yeah.
Really fun time. We walked around the floor afterwards. We bought some great merch.
We got multiple pieces of Jabba merch, which we've been on the hunt for, and honestly did not come up with anything good really from Celebration.
No.
A few bits and pieces, but nothing really exciting. We got a really cool sticker of Jabba that says
very demure, very mindful.
And then it was so funny because yes, we're going to bring up Mighty Jabba's collection here. Mighty Jabba's collection had just posted a custom Jabba Lego minifig
of
that had
Zero
been painted to look like Zero. Did this wonderful little Instagram post about it, and Charlotte and I are standing at a booth with minifigs, and I was like, I'm really thinking about the Lego minifig.
And I was like, it's right there, Caitlin.
Yeah, and literally right in front of us, Charlotte's like, it's right there. And unfortunately, there was only one, so I did get it, which is very nice. But I got a Jabba minifig with 2 Gamorrean Guard minifigs too that were also at this booth, which is really exciting because I do love the Gamorrean Guards as well. In the Book of Boba Fett, they really stole my heart.
One thing about Caitlin is she loves the Gamorrean cards, I guess. She loves those guys.
I love those guys. They almost died in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, and you were devastated.
I was distraught.
Yeah.
I was distraught. They're so loyal.
They really are.
So that was great. And then we found this booth that had just the cutest keychains, Star Wars earrings, bracelets. I don't have the name in front of me.
I'm going to pull it up quick.
Okay. But we both ended up with a pink chopper keychain. And then Charlotte also got a Neil keychain, which is super cute. And then she was all out, so we didn't get them, which is really sad. But she had these little puffer pig studs, which were the cutest things ever. We did end up, she had holocron studs. So the Jedi and the Sith holocron as little earring studs. So we each got a pair of those, which was really fun. But she had really awesome lightsaber earrings, like dangly lightsaber earrings for low-key every character you can imagine in Star Wars. It was great. Oh, and Charlotte pulled up her shop. It's Maintaining Mediocrity. Super cute stuff. Yeah. We hadn't ever seen her stuff or purchased from her before, and her stuff was just so adorable.
So cute.
Yeah. So definitely recommend checking her out. And we also stopped by Girls Crew.
Bought some earrings.
Bought a necklace. It's fine.
No, it's better than fine. We love Girls Crew. What we're reacting to is
we told ourselves we were cut off.
Yeah. Because we have so much Girls Crew stuff. We're big fans. But yeah, I bought some hoop earrings with Rey and Kylo lightsabers.
Yep. I bought a necklace that has C-3PO and R2-D2 on it, like a little charm necklace. I'm very excited.
I was like, would look good in Tunisia.
And I was like, all right. And the lady helping us at the Girls Crew booth was like, yeah, I'll wrap that up for you. It's like, great, here's my card.
But the reason why we really stuck around all day, because we were really hopeful to get our books from the new Revenge of the Sith special edition book novelizations written by Matthew Stover, signed by Matthew Stover. And we had previously gotten the tickets and we're to stand in line to get it signed, which is one of the really cool things that they do at all these conventions. But Matthew Stover hasn't signed books in a long time. So it's very special. And he was just here to sign, which is also crazy. And this is huge for us. Like, huge. I mean,
huge.
The Revenge of the Sith novelization is so meaningful to us. Like, it's so formative in how we understand Star Wars, how we talk about Star Wars. We talk about it all the time. Literally, it comes up all of the time.
Yeah.
There are parts of that book that are so memorized. I still have my first, like my edition from 2005 that I would carry around everywhere because I was so obsessed with it. I bring it to school. Like, it's so crazy. And so to have the opportunity to shake Matthew Stover's hand, meet him, have him sign our books, it was so special. It was so great.
I really think, I was thinking about it afterwards and I was like, if I were to describe our analysis of Star Wars, it really is influenced by like George Lucas, Dave Filoni, and Matthew Stover. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about it that way, but they, I think, really are, for us, the people that have had the most influence on how we think about Star Wars, which maybe, I don't know. It's like, like, of course, George Lucas and like, of course Dave Filoni. But like, so for some people, it's not the case. Like, that's just not their brand of Star Wars, which is totally fine. But they are, I'm not going to put George Lucas in that camp, but like Dave and Matthew, they're the voices, I think, that have really resonated with us through the years. And then George Lucas, of course. But that should be everyone. That should just be a standard, right? But they really Matthew Stover really has been so influential and important for the podcast and for just Star Wars in general. So yeah, I didn't really expect myself to be emotional about it because we honestly don't do a lot of signings and stuff when we go to conventions. So it's not something I've done in a really long time. Like,
the literal last time you have done it is meeting Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, which that was at Celebration 5 in 2010. So
yeah, like it's just, I don't know. Like, obviously, we've been really fortunate on the show to like get to do interviews with people that we really admire, and usually that's virtual. We, of course, got to do an in-person one with Tony Gilroy earlier this year, which was great. But doing the like in-person, having the opportunity to like tell someone how much their work means to you and have something signed by them is not something that, especially me, that I do very often. So it was really special. And I'm really glad we got to tell him how much this book means to us and how glad we were that he was there. And he had a great line, and I hope he felt the love, and I hope he was glad that he came.
Yes, totally agree. Yeah, it was so special. That was like worth the trip, worth the ticket, it was so great. Yeah. It was so great. And we will be covering the Revenge of the Sith special edition with the annotations and talk through them and everything on the podcast soon. Just TBD.
Stay tuned.
We got the books. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about it. Also, like, I'm always down to revisit the Revenge of the Sith novelization show.
It's been a while.
Give me the floor. I'm ready to go.
Just give her a mic.
Yeah.
She's got a few.
Yeah. But the thing that we were like really pumped for, and I think really made you like,
it was like Matthew Stover. Yes, I want to be there,
and maybe I can try to make that work. And then it was like doubly. Oh, they're doing a Lucas Museum of Narrative Art panel.
Hosted by Martin Scorsese.
The hosted by Martin Scorsese, I didn't even really realize. I would have been at the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art panel no matter what. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, oh my gosh, it's hosted by Martin Scorsese. There's 3 other artists there as well.
Yeah.
Talking through how they view narrative art and everything. And so that was this morning. We're recording this on Sunday. And it was so special.
It was really cool. I mean, we just did our episode on the Presidio, which obviously touches on the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art and, why it didn't end up in San Francisco and everything like that. And obviously now it's in Los Angeles and is opening next year. And the museum has obviously had a long road to Los Angeles and construction. And now we don't have a date for opening, but it's happening next year. And
the building is up.
The building is there.
Yes.
But they've been having these panels at different conventions this year. They had one at San Diego, Los Angeles Comic-Con, and now New York Comic-Con. And George Lucas was at the San Diego one. Then they did, I forget who was at, LA.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah. And then Martin Scorsese's here in New York. And yeah, it's just, you can tell they're really ramping up marketing, and promotion for it. And it was great. Martin Scorsese came out, he gave a little introduction, and then they introduced all of the artists, which the artists who were here were JR, Boris Vallejo, and Julie Bell. And I'm sorry if I said Boris's last name incorrectly. But they were the 3 artists that were there, and then Martin Scorsese. And they showed a video, like a promo video for the museum, which was so cool. I was like
tearing up.
Yeah, 3 to 4 minutes? And
it was actually 5 minutes and 38 seconds. I did record it.
Okay. Yeah. Check our socials. And, they had George Lucas in it, Melody Hobson, narrated by Samuel L. Jackson.
I'm sure was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Hello.
Hello, my guy. Really courting all of his friends. It's so
he's
funny.
Like, hey, remember when I gave you that purple lightsaber? And you really liked it? And they showed a video talking about kind of the initiative for the museum and what they were hoping audiences got out of it. And one thing I really liked, Melody Hobson, she said in the video, George and I, we both believe very strongly that societies are held together by stories. And I think that was really kind of a big takeaway and is really kind of a succinct way to talk about the museum and what they think its value ultimately is, and that narrative art, being able to tell a story from a single image all the way to moving images like in cinema, and how that connects us and the emotion that you feel there. And after the video, that is really what the conversation between the artists and Martin Scorsese was really talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it said in the video that the founding collection is more than 40,000 images. Mm-hmm. And we saw a lot of pictures of what would be included in it. And it's everything from comic to incredible works and one of them that they included in the video was a image that we have definitely seen at Skywalker Ranch before it has clearly been moved into George Lucas's archives to prepare for the museum, by Maxfield Parrish. George has a lot of Maxfield Parrishes, and they're gorgeous, and they're supposed to be lit properly. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see how it is lit in the museum. Yeah. And we feel obviously extremely, extremely grateful to have seen it in the library at Skywalker Ranch. But I'm excited for everyone to be able to, and that is the accessibility of art is a big thing that was the focus of the conversation in a lot of ways, and how narrative art is sort of breaking the mold and being the concept of a museum of narrative art within Los Angeles, within the rigid society of Los Angeles that I think George has talked about so often with like the Directors Guilds. And it's interesting because Martin Scorsese is there too. And I know that he feels this way.
They're part of these institutions. Yeah.
And I think George has been more outspoken about his anti the Directors Guild, anti any of that. But the conversation did linger on this museum is going to disrupt how people view museums. That's what the perception is.
Yeah.
And I think it's really special. What they showed is from the beginning of like Mesopotamia, how you tell stories from there, to how Martin Scorsese talked about how Greek myth is how Americans often access story especially through cinema. And he talked about how he mentioned Star Wars with that. And how, but that's not the case of other societies. He talked about cave paintings and how narrative art is just so expressive. And one thing that Martin Scorsese said that we haven't talked about and debriefed out and after, but I was wondering what you think about. I was so struck by Martin Scorsese talked about, he said, I make movies, but movies don't exist.
Yeah.
He said movies don't exist. They come from the heart. And he was like pointing to his chest. They come from the heart, but they require electricity to be seen and viewed, but they don't exist, unlike paintings, unlike actual physical pieces of art. And I don't know why, I just like have never, if I have thought about it, it's been a while, right? Like I haven't really thought about the existential like nature of cinema.
Yeah, it was a really interesting concept because one of the other artists there, JR, he does a lot of like public monumental,
like starting
art.
with graffiti to like mural.
Yeah, that's like very political and usually in like public spaces.
Yeah,
and
supercharged.
Stuff like that. Yeah, and they were talking about how JR was saying how his art in that sense is always in constant communication with its audience, because he said if someone doesn't like it, they can just tear it down. And he was like, or they can pee on it. Yeah, because he's like, or like a storm comes and washes it away. Like it's almost ephemeral in that sense.
Yeah, he's like, I encourage that interaction and that conversation.
Yeah, because it all adds another layer onto what the meaning of the art could be to someone. And yeah, what Martin Scorsese said about, in a way, and they were talking about like the experience of like a public art like that versus the experience in a museum. And like they were asking JR specifically about the difference with like so much of his art is, in public spaces, and now having some of his art in some of a more like static environment like the museum. What is the difference there for him? And then Martin Scorsese went on to talk about how the experience of a film is ephemeral in a lot of ways, and how you have to have electricity to view it, and it exists in that moment, and then you turn it off and it's gone, which I don't know, is an interesting way to think about film. Whereas a painting, narrative art that can tell a story in a frame, that is static. Yeah, it's static and it lasts longer, which is really interesting to think about the power of a story that is told in one frame that, I don't know, is like eternally on a wall, in that kind of mindset, versus a film that has to have all these other things working together in order for it to be seen.
The experience of watching a movie in the movie theater or taking it in on a tiny screen. I mean, I think that we're all your experience of a movie is so subjective, and I think that's what he was also talking about, right? It's like it's all these different parts, but a painting is a painting is on the page, and yes, it is your experience that you're bringing into it, and
at any given time,
and the way something's placed on a wall in a museum says so much about the museum itself in a lot of ways, and how you're taking in certain art. And I don't know, the conversation got really heady, I will say that. But it was so fantastic. I filmed a lot of it. I'll post a lot of it on our socials for sure. And God, it was so lovely. And it just makes me so excited for Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, which again, we're so pumped for. We cannot wait. We've just been following this for so long that I can't. And it is funny. Also, Martin Scorsese talking about his relationship and friendship with George for years, that they met in 1971. And I don't know. It was interesting to hear Martin echo a lot of what George has said in the past, with things we've heard him say.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, I don't know, the director headcanons, whatever.
Yeah.
About like, oh, do they still hang out a lot? What is the like? Are they just continuously talking about this? Are they still swapping movies that they make? I think yes.
I think they are. Yeah, I definitely think they are. Yeah, I just think I'm so excited for the conversations that will come out of this museum. And that's kind of what they were talking about with this being like a disruptor, because I think the scale of it and the amount of money that's being poured into it, like Martin Scorsese was talking about how he's like, now the Met has to take cinema as art more seriously. And it's not that there have not been exhibits, galleries, even museums about film or about comic art or, you know, these types of popular art. Like those obviously exist. I think it's clear there's a lot of value in, like, society has placed value on these things over time, right? This is not new. Yeah. But again, this scale that the Lucas Museum is going to be doing it at makes it a huge contender in the space of like these like tentpole museums, for lack of a better word. And I think that's really exciting to see like what is going to happen. What is the museum environment going to look like 5 years after the Lucas Museum opens, and the way that people talk about what's important? Because another thing they were discussing in the panel is just kind of, you know, a place like the Met or like a really old museum like that, maybe they want to start bringing in things that like comic art, for example, or whatever.
Like newer artists. Even.
Yeah, it's just it's so like the cogs in the machine. There's so many cogs in the machine that it's slow to change, even if people are wanting that change and wanting to bring in new artists and new types of art and things like that. But again, with what George is able to do, George and Melody are able to do with this museum immediately is very bold, and it's literally and figuratively very big.
It's huge. It looks so cool. It's so spacey. It's so modern.
Yep.
It's also like, if you're wondering, yes, there's Star Wars in this museum.
Oh yeah.
There's like the Grievous wheel thing from Revenge of the Sith. They've made it. And then they have a
lot of concept art,
pod racer, hanging from the ceiling. So cool. Lots of concept art, of course. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited to see how
science fiction and fantasy artists.
Yeah, and science fiction and fantasy artists. The formative ones were there.
Yeah. Yeah, like one of the Julie Bell and Boris, they are sci-fi fantasy artists, and they've also done a lot. Martin called out, like, they both have done a lot with album covers, and ads and book covers and stuff like that, which is going to be really cool to see how all of that is presented within the museum.
Fully.
It was a fantastic panel. We're so excited. Sometime next year, we're going to go as soon as we can.
Yeah,
I'm so looking forward to it.
Yes, as soon as we can. And the trip that we plan will be several days in order to like visit
fully
the museum. Yeah. Because I know that this museum is going to be one that is going to, will take us a while to get through. We're going to want to read everything. But the concept also of us like entering it and experiencing the museum on one day, I think might be different than another day. So I don't know. I'm so excited, and I'm like weirdly so like proud of George Lucas. It's cool to see
that's
like
our guy.
Yeah, well, we know this has been his dream, and so it's all coming to be, and his friends are all out here talking excitedly about it. They're all on the board with him. So it's awesome. It's awesome. It was really, really special.
Definitely worth it to come up and be in that panel for sure. So overall, really great New York Comic-Con. New York Comic-Con for me. Had some really cool Star Wars memories made out of it.
Sure. Yeah. So definitely check our socials. I have a lot of content to post, to be honest. Yeah. But we'll get there.
Yeah. Really fun though. Super glad I could come up for it, and we could hang out for a couple days.
Of course.
Which is always fun. Yeah. So is there anything else we want to add about New York Comic Con right now?
I don't think so. It was so fantastic.
Yeah. We actually have to go because I have to get on a plane.
Yep.
But thank you guys so much for listening. We would love to know if you've ever been to New York Comic Con, if you're thinking about it. Have you bought the Revenge of the Sith new novelization? And are you excited for the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art? We would love to know. Please let us know. You can tell us on our socials at Skytalkers Pod on Twitter/X or our personal handles. Charlotte's is at Clarity and mine is at Caitlin and Pleasure. We also have our website, skytalkers.com, and our TikTok and Instagram. Those are going to be great places to see pictures and, like Charlotte said, videos from the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art panel. I would definitely go to our Instagram or TikTok to see those videos, and you're going to want to see them. Just go.
Yes.
And if you have a couple seconds and would like to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we would so appreciate it, as it helps other people find our show. And if you're interested in other ways to support us, you can head on over to our Patreon and check out our reward tiers there.
I want to say a huge thank you to these patrons: BB, Nate, Madison, Hunter, Blessed Cheesemaker, Kara, Paul, Tom, Caitlin, Talking Bay 94, Benjamin, Kyle, John, Kels, Kimberly, Swara, Josh, Suki, Tom, Colton, Patty, Eunice, Megan, Susanna, Daniel, Emma, Debo, Sarah, and Megan. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Yes, thank you guys so much. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
This has been a 58 Ember production. For more shows, please visit the 58 Ember channel, 58ember.com, or find us at 58 Ember Media on socials.